Hello, and this is the second part, or actually let's call it the first part after the intro. Yes, this is the first part of my collaborative project that I want to share with you all the stages of the process. And this is especially for those who are crazy about flower or plant gathering and preserving and using in your work. You know that we can use plants as memorabilia, and that's why I have always had this idea of combining the travel journal and flower press. And in fact, I made three. I have already made 3 different journals. They all have kind of different functions, but I would like to flip through them very quickly, to run over some general mistakes that were made and that came out during the process of using them, and introduce the final idea. So the first was made many years ago. It's just the easiest form of junk journal, the easiest way. I used it mostly as a travel journal, but as you can see that it's decorated and it's not very convenient to bring it with you. It's quite big, it's quite heavy, and all these strings and all these binding and ribbons you have to tie and untie. It's not very convenient when you are in the field and you want to put a flower immediately, to take it and put it inside and make it flat and even and so on. So I used it mostly as, the junk journal, and the journal to keep the flowers, to use the flowers after I have already picked them. And in this journal, my first concept of a book that I'm making now, it first came into life and to my mind when I started to use pressed flowers as memorabilia, in fact. Like writing, the date, the name of the plant, and probably the place, and the feelings, some journaling sport about what I felt when I collected it, and where I was, what we were doing, and so on. So it's just the same as you use your tickets, travel memorabilia, but in this case you use different plants. That's a focus. And this is one of the mistakes that I would like to point out. That's nice when you just fix a couple of spots of the plant, but that's absolutely not good, because the plant is peeling off, and that was my first attempt, and now I know what not to do. Okay, one more, and this as well, it's some journaling. I wrote something about it, and I wrote when I picked it, how I did it, and so on. It's like usual journaling. And this one as well with some journaling, and this is a peel off as well, a journaling. Some spots are for notes and decorations, but you see, as it wasn't too convenient to carry with me, I didn't use it much, but I'm going to decorate it and to use some older pictures, photos that I have. And I use it actually as a travel journal as well, for some leaflet and handouts from the real places. And these are the points where I'm leading you, I'm trying to take you. So these are the plants that I picked in different places, and when you look at them, you immediately recollect something, some emotions and feelings, and even smells that you experienced during those trips. So these are just nice pieces, not of much use unless you start using that actively, but I haven't yet started doing that. And as far as I see, some more secret journaling, and one more page which I wanted to show. Yes, this is one of the tricks, and I think I will make the same stuff, the same page in my final project. This is the rubber stamp of crossword puzzle grid, where I actually randomly wrote the names of different places or keywords or different plants that I collected, and then next to the number I wrote some keywords or memories about the places, names or whatever, or sometimes I used a leaf or a plant to point out the word here. It's just the same, some memorabilia, some journaling. This is just a piece of journaling that I started to do. Okay, mostly that's, so you see that was my first attempt, and not complete now, but I think that I have some ideas how to finish it up. So it didn't work generally. So my next idea, which is actually I'm going to enhance and use, was to create something really handy, something that is quite small, sturdy, and tough enough to store the plants while you are just traveling, and you just pick a plant, put it here and preserve it. And that is the first travel journal, which is Botanical journal. I don't know, let's call it a herbalist flower press. Actually, it's not a flower press, it's still a travel journal, yeah. And I used, as you can see, some jeans fabric, which is greenish gray. It's a very good color for stuff like this, because it should look definitely old, but at the same time, if you take into account where and how you use it, it can get dirty a little bit. It's still not very dirty, but it can. And then you cannot just take off the cover and wash it, but at the same time you need only natural stuff. And this is the first requirement and the first mistake that I have made. It's that, in fact, when I making it, I combined, first of all, natural stuff like cotton and paper and synthetic or plastic, and that was absolutely wrong, and I will show you why. Yes, I used just the system of a midday travel journal with two elastics and one elastic as the closure. So, and after a couple of years of using it, I would say that this elastic is bad for the closure, because sooner or later it loses, it's not tight anymore, it is loosened. Yes, you can easily replace it if you don't cover it with the inside, if you don't cover it with paper or anything. You can replace it at any moment, or you can take a stronger elastic. I will show you the alternative. And for the signatures, you know, to keep the signatures in place, I used this kind of elastic, which is very, very popular, and you can find it wherever. Oh, come on, where is it? Yes, this is the elastic. Also not very strong, but good enough for the purpose of keeping this in place. So this is the first thing. Then you can see the pocket on the front. Yes, the pocket is quite handy, because you can put there a pen or a pencil or anything else, because in fact it's still, even being a flower used as a botanical journal, it's also like a travel journal, so sometimes you have to take notes on the fly, on the spot. You can put here some washi tape or glue stick or anything like that. So, paper. Yes, some scrapbooking paper showed out quite good. And this is whatever, you can guess what that means. This is, in fact, yes, these are the receipts that you get for something. or it's maybe even a ticket, and you see that with time it fades away and there's no use keeping it. If you want to keep your printed out receipts or tickets, you need to make a photocopy. Nothing else helps. So I used a couple of everything, just usual stuff that we have, seed packages and so on. And so this is the beginning when I started to just fix with staples. Sometimes I just fixed them with staples. And sometimes I added not just pre-pressed and pre-dried flowers, but as soon as I picked a flower or a piece, I just fixed it there and let it dry inside. And that was one of the main ideas, to let it dry inside, not to muddle. But still, I didn't use it too much when I was out in the walk in the forest, because it's still just probably placed something inside but didn't use it too often, but sometimes. And never ever use any glossy pages like this, any glossy paper, or any I will show you. You can use any good paper but not glossy. Staples for bigger things, and still you see they need to be fixed now. And just a common assortment of notebooks and journals. And again, this is glossy, that's no good. And this is also glossy. No, it's not. Well, this is the first effect. So now you can see that when I put not like a wet flower, wet in terms of not being pre-dried, inside, yeah, you can see that these are two normal pages with usual ordinary paper, but as I have some synthetic glossy or plastic inserts or pages, they just sealed the water inside, and it started to mold and to rust, and you can see this, and you can see this more and more even here. So even having a lot of paper, good paper inside, you can see how the moisture spoiled the whole concept, even on the usual paper, quite good, which is quite absorbent. So the idea is you need to have paper which will absorb everything quite well. And yes, these were literally the mistakes I've made. I used, you can see this horrible effect. Actually, yeah, the flower itself and the color is okay, but there is some mold pieces. There are some mold patches, and you can see that. So this one is the first one. This is a glossy, and this is the worst part. This plastic insert might have been a very good memory keeper, if only not for humid, for wet stuff. It's like, you see, gave what kind of effect it gave. Same here. Keeping something inside made it rot. Yeah. So that was my first. One more thing to be careful about. So all in all, it has 4 signatures. I'm not probably going to waste your time on running through all of them. And this is vellum. Also, not a good idea to keep flowers before they dry completely. So, all in all, there are 4 signatures, and I will do the same. And the signatures are not just, they are put, as in normal, ordinary travel journals. We put them under the elastic, and you can easily replace them. So, in fact, when you take it out, when it's full and you take it out, it's a ready journal. You can just make a cover of it, or you can bind it and put some journal in, and here you are, you have a journal. One more thing is a glue. It's also important, and I will show what kind of flower press journal. Yes, I made it with an assortment of paper. It worked quite well, unless I realized that I didn't use any plastic here, and I was quite clever then. But then I understood that the glue that I used killed the project, because I used some kind of acrylic glue which created this acrylic surface and something like plastic, in fact, and it made the same effect. So the cover here is also like glued through, and these are the, well, this is the paper from, you know, notebooks, copybooks, craft paper, package paper. But here, in order to strengthen it, I glued the pages together with the wrong type of glue, and that was bad. So I received, in fact, from time to time, I got the same effect. Some of them were quite good and some quite bad. And in this project, I didn't make it as a mid-read journal, or I didn't make it with removable signatures, because I wanted to use it just on the stage of collecting the plants when you are outside and you need some very sturdy and convenient stuff to use. It's really convenient. The construction is quite convenient. As you can see, I have a stronger elastic here. I have a pocket, and I have another pocket here where I can place or put anything, but it turned out that it's not good at all, because when you put flowers during your walks inside, you don't need any extra surface. It should be even, it shouldn't be rough. So it turned out that I cannot use this flower press for long. I can use it mostly for collecting plants, but then I had to come home and take them out of here and place them into the book, into an ordinary common book, because it didn't dry well in this kind of so-called flower press journal, due to the glue I used. And but in fact, the concept itself worked very good, worked very well. I mean, yes, while collecting flowers, it's really very convenient. You just open the page, put it there. But now I have analyzed all of this, and I have come to the final concept of the journal, of the flower press travel journal, which is actually, the construction will be a bit smaller than that, this kind of size probably. It's gonna be with removable signatures, because I want these signatures to be used both for flower pressing and for writing, journaling, whatever. Therefore, I will make this journal with replaceable signatures. As soon as one signature is full, you can take it out and put inside the other one. So this is the final concept, and I will now introduce the material that you